Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Ask Me Anything student panel webinar. I'll be your moderator, Priscilla. And just to start, I'll go over a few housekeeping items. As an attendee, you are automatically muted on entry, and this is to keep the audio clean for everyone to listen in to our panelists. And if you have any questions throughout our webinar, I encourage you to add them to the Q&A function at any time. One of our team members will be monitoring these through the event, and I'll be sure to get to all of our live answered questions. We'll start this panel with a few introductions, and I'll be asking our panelists your questions. We do have a list of some curated questions, and we'll do our best to get to as many of our questions that you guys ask live as possible. And we will also be recording this webinar, and we'll post it to our website in the coming days. So to start, my name is Priscilla Oroza. I'm a current student here at St. Thomas. I'm a rising senior. My major is finance, and I'm minoring in economics. And I'm from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I'll just go over my pictures a little bit. The picture on the left is of me and my siblings in Hawaii. We saw some cool parrots, and I love that picture of us. The picture in the middle is of me and my roommates at Tojo. We'll talk a little bit about Tojo later during this panel. And then the picture on the right is of me in London this past fall. I got the chance to study abroad.
Hi everyone, my name is Mari and I'm going to be a junior on the fall. I am from Chanhassen, Minnesota, and I'm currently studying biochemistry and minoring in business administration. And just here a little bit of my picture. So in the top left is just a couple of my friends watching two of our friends playing football. And then the top right, that's when I went to Salzburg, Austria for our study abroad in J-term, and we were able to take the tour around to be able to see all the movie for Sound of Music. And in the bottom is one of the trips we took with school to the Nickelodeon Park, and in the bottom right is my soccer team, some of my soccer teammates.
Hey everyone, my name's Sophie. I'm going to be a senior in the fall. I'm from Plainfield, Illinois, and I'm studying Spanish education. A little bit about some of my pictures. This past summer, I participated in the running through the fountain tradition that we have here at St. Thomas. So me and some of my friends did that after work one day. In the middle is me and my roommates at Tojo. So again, like we said before, we're going to talk a little more about that later on, but we're all decked out in our purple. And then the last picture is me and my co-orientation leader. I got to be an orientation leader this past summer, which was super fun.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominic Stewart. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. I'm a junior becoming senior in the fall, and I study actuarial science, French, interreligious studies, and comparative theology. And I just have one picture, and it's just me with other international students. We were having a photo shoot, but we were also having a blast in scooters.
Hello everyone, my name is Hugh. I'm from Vietnam and I'm going to be a senior at St. Thomas. I am majoring in biochemistry and I also minor in philosophy and music. And as you can see, I participate in some club sports and I'm the president of the badminton club. You can also see there's a photo of me presenting my chemistry research at a symposium. And I'm also involved in performing piano for some venues such as the Christ Ambassador Club as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Kyla. I'm going to be a senior at St. Thomas next year. I'm studying communication and journalism, and I have a legal studies minor, so I'm on the pre-law track here at St. Thomas. I'm from Prior Lake, Minnesota, which is about 30 minutes south of here. And here are some photos that I've taken since coming to St. Thomas. On the left is me and a friend at the first football game I ever went to at St. Thomas. In the middle is a picture of me and my freshman year roommates at an on-campus event called Tommie Fest, which happens every year. And then on the far right is a picture of me at a concert venue called First Avenue, which we rode the shuttle bus to my sophomore year to go see a concert.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Pappas and I just graduated from St. Thomas this past Saturday. I majored in business communication and minored in psychology, and I am originally from Edina, Minnesota. The pictures on the left is the last day of my freshman year with my roommate. You can see our Dorm is all empty. And then the bottom picture is at the first football game I went to. The picture in front of Dowling Hall is the last week of freshman year with all my friends as well. And then graduating on the right, that picture was taken last week.
Hi everyone, my name is Christian Scow. I am from Hutchinson, Minnesota. I'm going to be a junior next fall at St. Thomas, and I'm studying entrepreneurship. So I am a resident advisor in Island Hall. So a couple of my pictures, I'm in the strawberry suit. Had to show some love there. So basically, that was just a nice parade that we have during homecoming that allows all of the clubs to be able to kind of show their spirit to the parents. And then on the top left, we do have earlier in that day where I have my girlfriend, my grandma, and my mother for Parents Weekend. So they all got to come and celebrate.
Hi everyone, my name is Hoden Hashi and I'm also a recent grad from St. Thomas. I'm from Roseville, Minnesota and I studied biology. This first picture on the top left corner is me and my classmates working on a biology project. The one on the center is from my biology capstone class visiting a turkey farm. And then this last photo on the right was from graduation.
All right, that's all of our panelists. As you can see, we have a great array of students, even some recent grads to answer all of our questions. So I'll start. The first question, I'll pose it to Kyla. What are types of things that we can do on campus on the weekends?
I would say one of the biggest things that St. Thomas has is a group called STAR, which stands for St. Thomas Activities and Recreation. And they host events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and then every once in a while during the week as well. So every Thursday night, there's some sort of band or singer that gets brought in, and it's called Thursday Night Live. So they play live music and have free food and Scooters, which is our on-campus restaurant. But otherwise, every Friday or Saturday night, there's always something going on. They do, one of my favorites is Nacho Bingo. So you can play bingo and win Tommie swag. They bring a lot of like artisan or trivia nights, magicians, all sorts of stuff. And then some of my favorite events that they put on have been the bigger ones, like the concerts. So every fall and spring semester, they host a free concert for students. And they've had like acts like Andy Grammer, Tori Kelly, and a bunch of really fun artists come in. So that's probably some of my favorite events, but there's always something going around on campus that you can find to do.
Thanks, Kyla. The next question I'll ask Christian. What is the food like on campus and where are your favorite places to eat?
I love the food on campus. So being an RA, you're given a meal plan on campus. So I eat on campus a lot more than probably most of the students do. A lot of people like teas, that tends to be a favorite, but I can never stray away from the view. I love always having the options, and unlimited food is always the answer.
I agree. I really love the view. Our next question is about research, and I know that Hoden and Hugh, you have both had opportunities among research. So Hoden, if you want to answer first, can I work on research as a first-year student?
Yeah, absolutely. Research opportunities are open to all students, including freshmen. And there's a variety of ways you can hear about research. Typically, a lot of professors will mention it in class and talk more with students about what they do. And there's a wide variety of academic interests that you can do research on. Some include biology, chemistry, psychology, justice and peace studies. So there is a lot of topics that you can do research on. I've done research in the biology department and I really enjoyed having that hands-on experience and building that close relationship with the faculty that I did do research with. So if you are interested, I definitely would recommend taking part in that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Like Holden said, we have research opportunities for a lot of the fields, even my friends in math or economics. And the thing that I found is that professors really like students who show their interests and show that they are committed to the work. And so I actually have friends who started research since even when they're freshmen. And you might be afraid that you won't have the skills, but if you show that you are committed, then professor would do the best to help you grow and learn the skills so that later you can tackle on the research yourself.
Awesome, thank you guys. We have a question that was put in live. Christina, can you talk a little bit about the psychology program? I know you minored in psychology.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really enjoyed my psych classes here at St. Thomas. I declared my psych minor my junior year, so I was pretty late, but they were really accommodating of me. Some of my favorite classes I took were psychology of women, so just talking about how the minds of women works, and then also psych of marriage and family, excuse me. So that was really interesting. We learned a lot about different research studies on just like healthy relationships and marriages. So just very unique course offerings, which I wasn't expecting. So I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Christina. We have another question, and this is going to be for Dominique and Hugh. What is it like to be an international student?
Well, it's interesting because you realize that you're in a different culture, but also it's really, I enjoy being an international student because you're coming from a different background, but you're also learning a lot. And I mean, most of the people here are really great people, really nice people. And so I feel like I'm also part of a community that appreciates my internationalness. And so I have the Office of International Students and Scholars, but I also have like a lot of clubs and organizations that focus on international identity. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, my experience is the same. I chose to come into a whole totally different country far away from home, and I was really surprised that I came into a community that is really welcoming and really care about the personal well-being of each other. And there are a lot of resources and a lot of organizations and offices on campus that support international students and students from different cultures, backgrounds as well. So I feel that I am really a part of the community, and I look around, there are a lot of students who are like me. So
Awesome, thank you guys. We have another question. It says, being an incoming business student, what type of computer should I purchase for myself? Do we have any business students that want to talk about what computers they purchase?
Yeah, so being a business student, your go-to you would think is Microsoft, but honestly, St. Thomas makes it work with anything you get, as long as you're willing to, as long as you have a number pad accessible. That was something that I had to add to my collection that kind of made it a little bit easier to get through the accounting classes, but any computer works just fine.
Yeah, going on.
Definitely.
So sorry.
Go ahead,
Going on.
Christina.
I have a MacBook Air, and I knew a lot of my friends who had also like Microsoft computers. But if your computer doesn't have like the Microsoft Office already when you buy it, so like Excel and PowerPoint, things like that, St. Thomas has a place where you can download that for free. So that was really nice for me. And then we also have plenty of computers on campus. So sometimes I would use those like Dell computers for my classes, but yeah, like Christian said, St. Thomas really helps you with whatever device you have.
Definitely, that's exactly what I was going to say. So thanks, Christina. I'll have a question for Sophie now. Sophie's an out-of-state student, and someone asked, are there ways to find a ride home for holidays if I live out of state?
Yeah, this is a super good question. So like I said, I'm from Illinois, and I didn't bring a car. I had to leave it for my little sister. And so I was worried that I wasn't gonna be able to get home when I needed to, but there's buses available. You can fly, which flying always sounds really scary and expensive, but it's really not that expensive if you know how to buy flights. Like always buy them a couple months in advance. And it's a really quick flight. You get home in like 56 minutes. It's so quick. So it's definitely easy to get home. As long as you're willing to plan your trips a little bit in advance.
Thanks, Sophie. Let's see. I know I studied abroad, and a big question that some of our prospective students have is if any of us have studied abroad, and if so, where did we go and what was it like? I mentioned this earlier, but I went abroad for an entire semester. I did our London business semester, and that program was amazing. I was able to take some of our Common Core classes as well as business classes, so I was able to stay on track with my major. But that's just one option. I studied abroad for a full semester. Dominique, I saw you raise your hand. Did you study abroad?
Yeah, I studied abroad. Last summer actually. Today makes 1 year. I did a study abroad through the theology department. It was theology of apartheid and Nazism. So we went to the Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, and one more, Poland. And so it was really fun. You got this sort of like kaleidoscope of different cultures, but you're also engaging academically. So it's really fun. Also, the offices here, they also help with like certain scholarships, if, like for students for study abroad. So that's always an option for students to really think about.
Can I add to that as well? So I studied abroad during J term. And what's really nice about J term is just the entire month of January, you can go study somewhere else. And I'm a student athlete. So like the soccer schedule for me, which is what I play, is women's soccer. So it's really hard to be able to study abroad for an entire semester. But the fact that I was able to study for an entire month was really, really nice. And I was able to study theology as well. So my third theology. And I was able to go to Germany, and Czech Republic. So the fact that I was able to go to 3 different countries in a month, and I met really nice people, and I became really good friends with a lot of people from my school that I might have not met if I didn't do this trip. So I thought it was really nice, and it was really nice option to have, just considering that schedule-wise, like maybe for an entire semester wouldn't have worked, but the fact that J term did was really nice.
Jumping onto the study abroad train, I also studied abroad. I did a J term as well. I took a Spanish and sociology class, race, gender, and revolution in Cuba. So that was really exciting. That was right when all the bans were getting lifted from Cuba, so you could actually go study there. And just like Mari, I met a lot of really awesome people, and I still have friends now that I left behind in Cuba that I can go back and visit, which is something that not a lot of people can say here in the US.
Awesome. Okay, this next question I am going to direct to both Mari and Dominique. What is something you brought with you your first year that you never used or wish you wouldn't have brought?
So I think it's kind of hard to answer that question because I brought so many stuff, but at the same time, now that I think about it, I brought so much stuff that I realized that half of it I didn't use. So I think one of those cases when I was moving and as an in-state student, I lived like 30 minutes away, and I ended up bringing my entire room with, and I mean my entire room, all my clothing. But then I realized that I was able to go back home and pick up the stuff that I actually really needed. So I brought all my winter stuff since like fall, and I realized that I didn't need it until like later in the semester. So I could have been a little bit smarter about what clothing I was bringing. So I think that's just like, for me, that was kind of the biggest thing, is I was nervous that I was going to need everything right away, that I bought everything that I thought I was going to need, and I brought everything I thought I was going to need, but then I realized that I didn't really use a lot of the stuff. So I think for me especially, I could have been more like aware of like, oh, if I don't need it right now, then I don't need to buy it right now, or I don't need to bring it right now. So maybe I'll bring it or get it whenever I actually really need it. So I think that was like the biggest thing for me when I moved into the dorms.
When I moved here, I just like Mari, I brought too many things. I was especially anxious because to go home, I'd need to take a couple planes. And so I brought a lot of suitcases. But honestly, I don't think you need so many things. But one thing that I brought that I absolutely regret bringing, or at least purchasing in my freshman year, were a bunch of like pots and pans, just because I didn't expect so many free food to be on campus all the time. I didn't anticipate that. So when I actually came, I realized I didn't need to cook as much. And so that's something that I would never bring if I knew what I know now.
Great points, both of you. I too brought way too many clothes my first year, so that's an important thing when you're packing. Okay, this next question is for Hoden. Hoden, how did you choose your major?
Yeah, so St. Thomas has something called the core curriculum. So you can take classes throughout different departments, whether that's philosophy, theology, psychology classes, math, science, any of those. So it allows you to really explore different topics. I knew that I always wanted to do something in the sciences. So really taking part in those science classes and seeing what were my interests, what weren't my interests, really did help me choose a major.
Thanks, Hoden. We have another question for our international students. Hugh, if you want to start, is there a welcome ceremony for international students?
Thank you for that question. Actually, international students participate in the same welcoming ceremony with any other students, and I think that's a great thing because everyone belongs to the same one community. And but international students get the opportunity to register with the Office of International Students and Scholars to carry your country's flag as we march into the arches. So I think that's a big moment of pride. And then um, so this fall I was an international student, international orientation leader. So I was welcoming international students. So there is no separate ceremony for international student, but we do have much more preparation for international students because we come in to a different country, different culture, different ways how things work. So we want to prepare international students the best so that they can survive in the environment and thrive. But otherwise, there's no difference in ceremony or bureaucratic work regarding the welcoming.
I think Hugh covered it all. Yeah, we have the same welcome ceremony as everyone else. We just have like things to orient us when we come in this new environment. But we have the same welcome ceremony. We go on the field with the rest of the students, and we have that big freshman gathering, and we do the cheering and all of that.
Thank you guys for answering that. We have another question. It says, what outdoor activities other than sports are available? And I know Christian Ireland Hall has a little thing that they do outside in the spring, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so Ireland does a lot of things. Just in general, though, we do have a lot of intramural sports. So intramural volleyball, football, basketball. I am not one to be great at volleyball, but it's still fun. Otherwise, Ireland does. We will be doing a kickball tournament this fall, and then pretty much every spring we do. We would have done it earlier, but we do this nice thing where it's a teeter-totter marathon. So for 48 hours, we will have someone teeter-tottering, and all the proceeds will end up going to domestic abuse awareness.
Thanks, Christian. After talking about things that we didn't recommend people bringing, we have a few questions about things that we're really glad we brought. Kyla, do you want to talk about a staple that you brought your first year?
Sure, yeah. I think some things that were really important that really made living in a residence hall so much easier would be for sure like a mattress pad or like really good comfy sheets that make you feel at home. And then another thing would be like a set of utensils. Like I would constantly be bringing stuff back from the like dining hall, or if you want to make like a mac and cheese in your microwave in your dorm, it's really handy to have like your own utensils. And same with like a really good water bottle that you love that you can take to all your classes and you can carry with you everywhere. Yeah, picking a really fun water bottle I think is also a good thing.
Good answers. Does anyone else have any staples that they brought their first year?
I would say I really enjoyed, I had this like caddy for my top bunk that you could hang over the bunk and put like your phone in there and like maybe some chapstick and your book and whatever you need before bed. And then also shower shoes and a shower caddy. If you're living in a residence hall with communal showers and bathrooms, that will help you.
Good point.
For me, a must was a clip-on fan, so you could clip it onto your bed frame. I was on the top floor of a 100-year-old dorm, and so it was very, very hot. So
yeah, a fan is essential. Okay, the next question I'm gonna direct to Dominique. What does a typical weekday look like for you?
Well, before Corona would happen, I guess what I do, just get up, go to class, but then after classes or in between classes. So for example, during Convo Hour, I'd have like club meetings. So I'm part of like ANSA, GMS, African Nation Students Association, Globally Minded Students Association, Theology Club, DESI students, I mean, a bunch of clubs and activities, but also during the evenings after classes, usually have these events happening on campus. And most of them are usually free. All of them are usually free. There's always free food there. So I would usually go to them. There's always community organizing going on. There's always a lot of things to just get involved on campus. So yeah, that would be my typical day. Classes, getting involved on campus, and food.
Thanks, Dominique. We have a few questions asking what classes we recommend to have our first year. Sophie, do you want to talk a little bit about classes that freshmen typically take?
Yeah, so we're a liberal arts school, so everyone has to take a wide range of classes like Hoden mentioned earlier. So a lot of people usually take like 1 or 2 classes in their major and then fill the rest of their schedule with gen ed so that they can start chipping away at those gen ed requirements. But if you're at all confused or worried about that, don't worry. Academic counseling is really helpful, and they're there to help you during your orientation when you come in as a first year student. So if you're a senior right now and you're about to join us as a first year student next year, academic counseling is going to totally take care of that for you. They're going to make sure you're on the right track to graduate, even as you're starting in your first semester.
Awesome, thanks, Sophie. We had a question come in, and I think, Dominique, I want you to answer this one. Is there a good heating system available for students who are not used to cold weather?
Okay, so Minnesota itself is cold, right? And so you definitely need a parka. I didn't even know what a parka is, but the buildings are completely warm. They're the right temperature. Once you're in a building, you don't even need your jacket anymore. As soon as you're in a building, people usually, as soon as they sit, they just take it off and put it on their chairs because it's warm and toasty. Well, not toasty as in too hot, but it's good temperature. But outside is gonna be cold, especially during some months. And so, especially it was really cold for me. I don't know about anyone else, but you need a parka while you're outside. But other than that, you're fine. Once you're inside, you're warm. Any building, you're warm, you're fine.
Thanks. We had another question come in about LLCs, which is our living learning communities. Did anyone live in a living learning community?
So I actually
No?
ran one last year. So last year I ran the Wellness LLC, which is basically anyone who's thinking about going into exercise science or physical therapy. And so basically for the first semester, it's a nice way for you to meet people and actually live with people who are interested in the same concepts that you are and kind of the same disciplines. So we would do a bunch of stuff related to exercise science. So we did a cooking class for free. We went hiking, we went biking and kayaking. So just a nice way to kind of break the ice with some people that are on your floor, especially if you're interested in the same discipline.
Awesome, thank you. This next question I'm going to direct towards Mari. I know that you play varsity soccer, but the question is, do I have to be really good at a sport to join the club or intramural team?
Not at all. So you can join anything you'd like if for like club wise and for intramural wise. And I know Kristen talked a little bit about all the intramural sports that we have. So we have a lot of them, but I know you can also start your own like club or your own intramural sport. So if you get a good group of people that are interested in starting one that is not available already, you're more than welcome to. So you can join any of them. You do not have to have experience in it. They're there to help you, and it's just also to have fun. So I know that I have a couple of friends that started the men's club soccer. So you can start one, like I said, and just play and join and meet some people and have some friends. And I know that a lot of my friends are in intramural like football, and they have tournaments and we all go to watch them, and it's super fun. It's a good environment, Fred.
Great, thank you. We have a question about online studies and how online classes have been going. I can talk a little bit about my experience with online classes. Most of my classes were lecture-based, so they transferred over to Zoom pretty well. And it was actually pretty nice because we still had that ability to ask our professor questions live while they're lecturing us, but then also our professors would record them, so we were able to go back and watch those lectures when we wanted to review for exams. I also had a class, it was an English class that was pretty discussion based, and you talked in groups a lot, so that also translated to Zoom pretty well. We were able to talk as a class on Zoom, and then my professor would put us into breakout rooms and we could still have those small group discussions. But I know, Hugh, you take some lab classes. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that went for you online?
Yeah, definitely. So I take a couple of chemistry and biology labs. And since we cannot go into the lab, either the professor have to prepare some data for us to analyze and write reports about, or we can actually do our own literature research, and that could be fun as well. And our professor also just increased the amount of writing work because we can't go into the lab. And in my speaking from my biochem classes, since we can't physically do the work, we actually transition to designing experiments and designing the strategy to how to address the research questions, which I actually find to be quite interesting too.
Thank you, Hugh. Okay, we have time for just a few more questions, but something I really want to cover is Tommie traditions and what some of our favorites are. Christina, do you want to talk a little bit about Tojo or Tommie Johnny? I know a lot of us had pictures from Tojo in our intros.
Yeah, so Tommie Johnny, the Tommie Johnny football game, it is a football game against our biggest rivals, St. John's, which is up near St. Cloud. And let's see, this past year it was at Allianz Field, which is the new soccer field that was built. It's a really big arena. And then a couple of years ago, it was held at Target Field, and it was the largest attended D3 sporting event in the country. So really big deal. So many fans, so many alumni come out to support. That was definitely one of my favorite traditions. I had a lot of friends who also went to St. John's, so it was a fun time to see them. But not only the big football game, we also have Tommie Johnny hockey, Tommie Johnny basketball, like every sport, Tommie Johnny soccer. So all of those Tommie Johnny sporting games are huge, and all the fans come out and support. So it's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Christina. Sophie, do you want to talk a little bit about March Through the Arches?
Yeah, so I love March of the Arches. The energy on that day just really can't be beat because when you're a first year, it's at the end of welcome week, so you've already met like a good group of friends and you all get to walk through the arches together and it welcomes you to campus. So you start on the outside and then walk in, and then you have a big ceremony in our gymnasium. And then at the end of your 4 years, usually the seniors would all gather on the inside of the arches and then walk out. So it's kind of like St. Thomas putting them out in the world. It's all really fun. Everyone gets a t-shirt that they get to wear saying they walk through the arches. And like you said, all the international students, there's like flags of every country that we have international students from. So it really just shows you how great of a community St. Thomas is.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a favorite Tommie tradition that they'd like to talk about?
One thing that I enjoy, especially during the spring semester, there are these bunch of multicultural dinners that we have. So we have international dinner, African night, ebony night, Hispanic night, Hmong New Year, all these different multicultural dinners, and everybody's welcome to them. People from not just students, but also people from the community, and they're all free. You just show up, you enjoy lots of performances, lots of ethnic foods, a lot of the culture is on display, so you learn a lot. I've learned a lot from these dinners, and so I feel like it's something that lots of students should definitely go to, but also it's something that people from the community can also attend. I enjoy them a lot.
Awesome, thank you. So unfortunately, that is the end of our time. Thank you for coming and listening to all of our panelists talk about their experiences at St. Thomas. We will be adding a link to the chat for a breakout room. This is an opportunity for all of our prospective students to share their screen and connect with other admitted students. And we'll also have some of our panelists there to answer more of your questions. Simply copy and paste the link or click on the link and exit this meeting if you're interested. And then on the screen, we have some contact information if you want to get any more of your questions answered. But again, thank you for coming.